You're standing alone in a city you've never been to. The streets feel safe, the locals are welcoming, and your biggest worry is which cafe to try next. Sounds like a dream, right? But for many solo travelers, safety is the #1 concern, especially when choosing a destination for their next big adventure. The good news? In 2025, some countries stand out as havens for solo explorers. From tranquil streets where you can wander without worry to vibrant cities with friendly locals ready to help if you need it. We've analyzed the data, the rankings, and the real traveler experiences to bring you the top 10 safest countries to visit alone this year. What's the first thing you look for when choosing a solo travel destination? And trust me, while a few might be familiar favorites, there are some surprises that could inspire your next trip. So buckle up, hit that like button if you're ready for adventure, and let's dive into the list. You might just find the perfect place for your solo journey. Okay, so before we jump into the list, let's talk about how we actually decided on these 10 countries. I mean, what makes a place safe for solo travelers anyway? It's more than just low crime rates. It's about how it feels to walk around alone, how easy it is to get help if you need it, and how welcoming the locals are when you show up with just a backpack and a sense of adventure. Here's what we looked at: the Global Peace Index. Yep, there's an actual ranking that measures safety factors like crime rates, political stability, and overall peacefulness. Personal safety reports. We dug into traveler reviews to find out where solo explorers actually felt safe, whether strolling around at night or navigating public transport. Infrastructure and travel ease. Because a place can be safe on paper, but if it's a nightmare to get around solo, it's a hard pass. Cultural friendliness. Ever been somewhere that just feels warm and welcoming? We factored that in too, especially for solo travelers who don't want to feel like an outsider. Now, here's a question for you. When you think about travel safety, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious to see if it matches what we found. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's get into it. Starting with number 10, a country that's not only stunning, but also one of the easiest places in the world to make new friends: New Zealand. All right, kicking off our list at number 10, we've got New Zealand, a country where solo travel feels as natural as the breathtaking landscapes around you. From the snowy peaks of the Southern Alps to the geothermal wonders of Rotorua, this island nation makes exploring alone feel effortless. When it comes to safety, New Zealand consistently ranks among the world's best. Crime rates are low, especially in popular spots like Auckland, Wellington, and Queenstown. Locals embrace a laid-back, community-focused mindset. And you'll often find Kiwis going out of their way to help travelers, whether it's giving directions or recommending their favorite hidden beach. And if you're nervous about getting around solo, don't be. The public transport system is reliable and easy to navigate, especially in urban areas. And road tripping here is a dream. Camper vans are super popular with solo adventurers, and there's a strong culture of safe, well-maintained campsites across the country. Plus, New Zealand's outdoor activities are regulated with strict safety standards, whether you're bungee jumping in Queenstown or kayaking in Milford Sound. One solo traveler described it perfectly. "I never once felt alone or unsafe. It's like the whole country looks out for you." So what do you think? Would New Zealand make your solo travel bucket list? Let me know in the comments. Next, we're heading to a country where politeness, poutine, and pristine landscapes create a perfect solo travel experience: Canada. Coming in at number 9 is Canada, a country where solo travelers often say they feel safer than they do at home. And when you mix that with friendly locals, stunning scenery, and a smooth travel experience, you get a solo-friendly destination that's hard to beat. Canada consistently scores high on global safety rankings, with cities like Vancouver, Toronto, and Ottawa known for their low crime rates and well-lit streets. Public transport here is a solo traveler's best friend, easy to navigate, clean, and reliable, even if you're exploring new neighborhoods. But what really sets Canada apart is the warmth of its people. Canadians are famously friendly, and if you ever need help, don't hesitate to ask. One solo traveler shared how 3 locals walked her to her hotel after she got lost in Quebec City. And it's not just city life that feels safe. Canada's national parks like Banff and Jasper offer clear trails, reliable emergency services, and endless opportunities to meet other adventurers. So, what's your ideal Canadian adventure? A scenic train ride through the Rockies or a coffee crawl through Toronto? Drop your plans in the comments. Next, we're heading to a sun-soaked European gem that's become a solo travel favorite: Portugal. Next up, at number 8, we have Portugal, a country that feels like it was tailor-made for solo travelers. Imagine wandering through Lisbon's sunlit streets, the sound of Tram 28 in the distance, and a warm, easygoing atmosphere that makes you feel right at home. Portugal has earned its spot as one of the safest countries in the world, thanks to low crime rates, a strong police presence, and a welcoming culture. Whether you're exploring Porto's riverside district or hiking in Madeira, solo travelers consistently rave about how safe and comfortable they feel here. Plus, with so many locals speaking English, navigating the country alone is a breeze. And then there's the adventure factor. From the golden cliffs of the Algarve to the scenic Douro Valley, Portugal offers endless solo-friendly activities. One traveler summed it up perfectly. "I walked Lisbon streets alone at night and never felt uneasy." It's one of the few places where solo travel just feels easy. So what about you? Would you choose a city break in Porto or a nature escape in Madeira? Let me know below. Next, we're heading to a country where tradition meets high-tech efficiency, making solo travel as smooth as it gets: Japan. Alright, coming in at number 7 is Japan, a country that feels like stepping into the future, with a deep-rooted sense of tradition still woven into everyday life. And when it comes to solo travel, Japan is basically a masterclass in how to make visitors feel safe. Let's start with the obvious. Japan is famously one of the safest countries in the world. Crime rates are incredibly low, especially when it comes to theft or violence. In fact, it's not unusual to see people leave their bags unattended in a cafe without a second thought. And if you've ever worried about walking alone at night, Japan's well-lit streets and efficient police presence make it surprisingly stress-free. Now, public transport here is next level. The trains are spotless, fast, and, no exaggeration, so punctual that you could set your watch by them. Even if you don't speak Japanese, there are plenty of signs in English, and locals are generally happy to help if you look a bit lost. Just prepare for lots of polite bowing and, occasionally, a slightly bewildered look before they go out of their way to assist you. And let's talk about the solo dining experience. Japan makes dining alone not just acceptable, but totally normal. From ramen shops with single-seat booths to sushi conveyor belts where you order via touchscreen, you'll never feel awkward grabbing a meal solo. Plus, if you're someone who loves structure and predictability when traveling alone, Japan's orderly, polite culture makes everything feel, well, easy. So what do you think? Is Japan already on your bucket list? Or maybe you've been and have a story to share? Let me know in the comments. Next, we're heading to a country where strangers become friends before your pint of beer even hits the table. Coming in at number 6, we've got Ireland, a country where solo travel feels less like an adventure alone and more like joining a community that's been waiting for you to show up. Seriously, if there's one place where the luck of the Irish extends to solo travelers, it's here. Ireland has a well-deserved reputation for being one of the friendliest countries in the world. Walk into any pub in Dublin, Cork, or Galway, and you won't be solo for long. Locals have this natural curiosity and warmth, often sparking conversations with travelers just to hear their stories, and maybe share a few of their own. From a safety perspective, Ireland ranks consistently high on global peace and safety indexes. Crime against tourists is rare, and public spaces, even at night, tend to feel safe, especially in smaller towns and villages. Plus, public transport is straightforward and reliable, making it easy to hop from city to countryside without the stress of navigating complicated systems alone. And let's be honest, the landscapes here are straight up magical. Whether you're wandering the cliffs of Moher, driving through the wild Atlantic Way, or exploring the vibrant streets of Dublin, Ireland has this way of making you feel both grounded and adventurous at the same time. Ever been to Ireland? Or maybe it's been on your list for a while? Let me know what you'd want to experience first. The castles, the coastline, or maybe just the cozy pubs with live music. Alright, that wraps up the first half of our list. Next, we're stepping into the top 5, starting with a country that's basically a blueprint for safety and adventure combined. Alright, cracking into the top 5, we've got Finland, a country where safety isn't just a perk, it's practically a way of life. Seriously, if you're looking for a solo travel destination where you can breathe easy, Finland might just be your next stop. So what makes Finland such a standout? For starters, it consistently ranks as one of the safest and happiest countries in the world. Violent crime is rare, and locals are known for being honest to a fault. Need proof? Helsinki has been part of a global wallet test multiple times, where researchers accidentally drop wallets around the city. Time and time again, locals return almost every single one. Now, if you're someone who loves a mix of city comforts and nature escapes, Finland has you covered. Helsinki is modern, easy to navigate, and packed with cozy cafes and seaside parks where you can relax solo without a hint of discomfort. And if you venture north to Lapland, you'll find endless forests, serene lakes, and, if you time it right, a front row seat to the northern lights. Plus, the country's public transport system is super straightforward, so getting around alone is a breeze. Finns might have a reputation for being a bit reserved at first, but don't mistake that for unfriendliness. Give it a little time, and you'll find yourself chatting with locals about the best sauna spots or their favorite nature trails. And speaking of saunas, Finland has more than 2 million of them. So yes, you'll have plenty of opportunities to relax and maybe even strike up a conversation with a friendly local while you're at it. So what do you think? Would you prefer a cozy city break in Helsinki or a wilderness adventure under the northern lights? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Alright, next up is a country where sun, surf, and solo-friendly vibes go hand in hand. Coming in at number 4, we've got Australia. A country where solo travelers don't just feel safe, they often end up feeling like locals by the time they leave. And honestly, if you're someone who loves a good mix of city life, coastal adventures, and friendly vibes, Australia might just be your solo travel paradise. First things first. Safety. Australia consistently ranks as one of the safest countries for travelers. Violent crime is low, and cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane are well-policed, well-lit, and easy to navigate, even if you're walking alone after sunset. Plus, locals here tend to adopt a laid-back, no-worries attitude that makes travelers feel welcome right from the start. Now, let's talk about getting around. Whether you're exploring Melbourne's iconic laneways or hopping on a ferry across Sydney Harbour, Australia's transport system is straightforward and efficient. And if you decide to venture into the outback or along the Great Ocean Road, you'll find well-maintained routes and plenty of solo-friendly tour options if you don't want to go completely off the grid alone. But honestly, what really sets Australia apart is the vibe. Aussies are famously easygoing and curious about travelers, especially solo ones. One traveler I spoke to said she started a conversation with someone at a cafe in Perth and ended up getting invited to a weekend barbecue with a group of locals. And of course, there's the outdoor lifestyle. Beaches, national parks, coastal walks. It's hard to feel lonely when you're constantly surrounded by nature and friendly faces. So what would your Aussie adventure look like? Surfing at Bondi Beach, hiking in the Blue Mountains, or maybe exploring the laid-back charm of Tasmania? Drop your dream destination in the comments. Alright, next up, we're heading to a country where mountains, fjords, and safety go hand in hand. Alright, sliding into the number 3 spot is Norway, a country where safety feels as natural as the stunning landscapes that surround you. And trust me, if you're a solo traveler who loves nature, breathtaking views, and a strong sense of security, Norway is calling your name. Let's start with the basics. Norway consistently ranks among the safest countries in the world, with incredibly low crime rates. Violent crime is rare, and even in Oslo, the capital city, you'll find clean, well-lit streets and a relaxed, welcoming atmosphere. It's the kind of place where solo travelers often say they feel completely comfortable exploring on their own, even late at night. But safety in Norway goes beyond crime statistics. The country's infrastructure is rock solid. Public transportation is reliable, clean, and super easy to figure out, even if your Norwegian skills stop at hey and tak. Trains here don't just get you from point A to B. They take you through jaw-dropping scenery, like the Bergen Railway, which cuts through snow-capped mountains and deep valleys. Now, if you're more of a city explorer, Oslo offers a modern, laid-back vibe with plenty of parks, museums, and cozy coffee shops, perfect for solo travelers looking to recharge. And if you're chasing nature, well, Norway practically invented scenic overload. Think fjord cruises in Geiranger, hikes to Trolltunga, and that surreal moment when you catch the northern lights dancing across the Arctic sky. And here's the best part. Norwegians, while a bit reserved at first, are incredibly kind and helpful once you break the ice. One traveler told me she got lost hiking near Bergen, and a local not only helped her find the trail but ended up inviting her for a post-hike coffee. So, what's your take? Would you go for a city escape in Oslo or a nature-filled adventure in Lofoten? Let me know in the comments. Next, we're heading to a country where precision, safety, and scenic views come standard. Alright, coming in at number 2 is Switzerland. A country where everything, from the trains to the crime statistics, seems to run like clockwork. If you're traveling solo and want a destination that feels safe, efficient, and absolutely stunning, Switzerland's got you covered. Let's start with the obvious. Switzerland regularly ranks among the top countries on the Global Peace Index, and for good reason. Violent crime here is practically unheard of, and even petty theft is relatively rare compared to other tourist-heavy destinations. Whether you're exploring the old town of Zurich, wandering through Geneva's lakeside promenades, or hiking in the Swiss Alps, there's this overarching sense of security that makes solo travel feel like a breeze. And speaking of the Alps, yeah, they live up to the hype. Picture yourself taking a solo train ride on the Glacier Express, winding through snow-dusted peaks and lush valleys. The views are next level, and the transportation? It's Swiss, so naturally, it's punctual, spotless, and easy to navigate, even if you're not fluent in German, French, or Italian. But it's not just about nature. Swiss cities are solo travel-friendly goldmines. In Zurich, you can spend hours people-watching at Lindenhof Hill or sipping hot chocolate at a lakeside cafe. In Lucerne, the medieval charm of the Kapellbrücke feels like stepping into a fairy tale. And if you're more of a culture buff, Geneva's museums and Montreux's jazz scene are perfect solo-friendly activities. Now, some people assume Swiss locals are a bit reserved. And sure, they're not as immediately chatty as, say, the Irish. But give it a little time, and you'll find people more than happy to help if you need directions, or recommend the best fondue spot in town. So, what's your take? Would you go for a cozy alpine retreat or a city break in Zurich? Let me know in the comments. And now, we've arrived at number 1. A country that's been dominating global safety rankings for years. Any guesses? And finally, taking the number 1 spot as the safest country for solo travelers in 2025, we have Iceland. And honestly, if you've ever been, you probably saw this coming. Iceland has topped safety rankings for over a decade, and it's not just because of its peaceful nature, it's the entire vibe of the place. Let's talk numbers first. Iceland consistently ranks number 1 on the Global Peace Index year after year. Violent crime here is practically non-existent, and even in Reykjavik, the country's capital, locals think nothing of leaving their cars unlocked or letting their kids walk to school alone. For solo travelers, that sense of trust and calm creates the perfect environment to explore freely without constantly looking over your shoulder. And speaking of exploring, wow! Iceland's landscapes are like something from another planet. One day, you're standing at the base of a thundering waterfall. The next, you're soaking in a geothermal hot spring or driving across a lava field. If you're traveling solo, the famous Ring Road makes for an unforgettable road trip. It circles the entire island and offers countless stops along the way, like the glacier lagoons of Jökulsárlón or the black sand beaches of Vík. But here's the thing, Iceland isn't just safe because of low crime. It's safe because of the community spirit. Icelanders have this unspoken understanding that they look out for one another, and that includes visitors. If you get stuck on a snowy road or look a bit lost in downtown Reykjavik, you won't wait long before someone steps in to help. And Iceland is surprisingly social for solo travelers. Hostels here are lively and full of adventure seekers swapping stories about their latest hike or northern lights sighting. Plus, tours, whether for ice caving, whale watching, or lava field trekking, are often small and intimate, making it easy to strike up conversations. So, if you've ever dreamt of exploring a place where nature feels raw and untamed, yet safety is never a concern, Iceland is the spot. What about you? If you visited, would you go for the hot springs, the glaciers, or maybe a bit of both? And let me know in the comments. Now, before we wrap up, let's go over a few key safety tips that every solo traveler should keep in mind, no matter where they're headed next. Alright, so we've just covered the top 10 safest countries for solo travelers in 2025. But let's be real, no matter where you go, traveling solo comes with a few extra responsibilities. The good news? With just a few smart habits, you can make your adventure even safer and stress-free. First up, stay connected. Seriously, this one's a game changer. Make sure someone back home knows your itinerary and use apps like Google Maps offline or safety tools like Find My Friends, so someone always has a rough idea of where you are. And when you're out exploring, a simple check-in message can give both you and your loved ones peace of mind. Next, trust your instincts. If something feels off, whether it's a person, a place, or a situation, listen to that gut feeling. Solo travel isn't about pushing through discomfort just to prove you can handle it. Walk away, find a safer spot, or ask for help if needed. You're there to enjoy yourself, not to test your survival skills. And finally, blend in whenever possible. In most of the countries we talked about today, locals are friendly and welcoming, but standing out as a tourist can sometimes attract unwanted attention. So research the local customs, dress appropriately, and avoid flashing valuables. In Japan, for instance, being quiet and respectful in public spaces helps you fit right in, while in Ireland, a smile and a casual chat at the pub can make you feel like part of the community in minutes. What about you? Do you have a go-to safety tip when you travel solo? Share it in the comments. We might all learn something new. All right, we've got one last stop. Let's wrap things up and talk about what's next if you're itching to plan your solo adventure. And there you have it. The top 10 safest countries for solo travelers in 2025. From the breathtaking fjords of Norway to the thermal lagoons of Iceland, these destinations prove that traveling alone doesn't have to mean traveling in fear. In fact, for many solo travelers, safety isn't just about numbers or rankings. It's about that feeling of ease when you're walking through a new city, sitting in a cafe, or hiking in nature. And these countries? Yeah, they absolutely deliver that. So what about you? Which of these destinations would you pick for your next solo adventure? Or maybe you've already visited one of them and have a story to share. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences. And hey, if you've got a personal safety tip that's helped you feel more confident when traveling alone, share that too. You never know who might find it useful. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps us out. And if solo travel is something you're passionate about, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more insights, tips, and destination ideas. And here's a little teaser for next time. We'll be diving into the most underrated travel destinations for 2025. Trust me, there are some hidden gems on that list that might just make you rethink your entire itinerary. Until then, happy travels, and remember, the world might feel big when you're traveling solo, but when you choose the right place, it can feel like home.